What is success?
Success is however the individual wants to define it. Rule number 1, show up.
Yes.
Show up to your goals, show up to your dreams, show up for yourself. Just showing up makes you a fucking champion.
We love that saying. I'll believe it when I see it. You need to believe it first before you can see it.
This is the perfect place.
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
This is all we've got.
Yes.
What happened a minute ago is gone into eternity.
Gone. You need to have a sense of urgency with things, because life is not stopping. Life is going second by second,
It's happening. As long as you're alive, you have power inside of yourself to create a different outcome.
All right. You excited for this?
Nelson, I have been looking forward to this all week.
Yes.
I'm super excited.
Yes.
And then I just had the ultimate G up just in the bathroom. I absolutely love your inspirational notes on the mirror. It's just perfect. I was like, this is the best.
What do you feel? I'm curious to hear, what do you feel when you read them? Like the notes that I have. So for everyone that clearly doesn't know this, I have sort of inspirational notes that I wrote to myself. They are on my bathroom on the mirror. So yeah, I'm curious to see what do you thought about when you read them?
Well, quite a few different things. Like, first of all, it really takes me back. It takes me back to whenever I was trying to focus for a competition, or when I just really wanted to dig in to take myself to another level. I would write myself notes and I would put them on the mirror, but I would actually put them all over the house. So I was just like, oh my God, yes, I love this so much. And then it just feels so good. I read every single one. I read it and I absorbed it. And I just love these messages to yourself. So, and then the other thing is with my clients, with some of them, that's what I tell them to do. I'm like, if we want to embody an identity, we need to practice thinking like that to go to that next level. We need to know how to think at that level, and those notes are just perfect.
Is there any particular one from those? I know you probably don't remember them, all of them, but was there any particular idea of all of those that stood out for you?
Yeah, I mean, there are certain ones that just resonated so much. I really loved the one that said, I am the luckiest man alive, or I am the luckiest person alive. I really love just focusing on being lucky because it makes you even luckier. Because, of course, whatever you focus on, you become. And if it's about embodying it as an identity. So I really love that. I love the grateful one, just being so super grateful. The one that I really love is about creating your, what was the one around?
The reality?
Was it creating my reality? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's along those lines.
Yeah.
Like I create oh no, maybe you're talking about a different one. There's
in the middle, up in the middle. And it said, I don't create, it was like, my sort of circumstances don't happen, I create them. That was the principle.
Exactly. So it's kind of along the lines like the perfect opportunity or the perfect moment doesn't exist. I create the perfect opportunity.
Yeah. And I love that because I could not agree more about it's up to us to be the creator of, if we want opportunities, I always say winners don't wait, sitting around waiting for the opportunity. No, we make them happen.
Yes.
And that's what you're doing. And anyway, so I was just like, this is
cool.
it
makes me so happy, and another reason why I put them in the bathroom is because whenever we have guests, that's a place that they're almost certain to visit. And if one of those notes can make someone else's day a little bit better, or maybe even unlock a new way of thinking, or just to reframe and put in perspective what's going on in their lives, and I was able to help with that, that makes me so happy. Or even if this happens, that you see them, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm stoked, I'm pumped, so, and I read them every morning, every night, in the morning, it's kind of to set the baseline for the day, and remind myself. Also, some people ask me like, where do you get all of that? I was like, what do you mean from where? From my brain, I literally, I think everyone should do this at some stage, like sit down with yourself in a little bit of, silence and think. Just think, what do you want out of your life? Where are you? What's the big picture? Like, zoom out, look at yourself from outside and think, what do you want and what are you doing to get there? What's the kind of person that you are? When I think of myself, I think of hard worker, high achiever, I think of relentless. I think of, caring, I think of someone honest. I think of someone reliable. I think of I think I'm smart. I think I think I'm super athletic. I think but these are all things that at the beginning they maybe weren't true, but I made them become my reality, because I keep telling these things all day in my head. Even when I go to a client's job, I do video production if you're new here. But if I'm going to do a job, I'm telling myself like, man, my client is so lucky to have me. They have literally the best DP, cinematographer, filmmaker today doing this job for them.
Right.
They're so freaking lucky. Like they're so lucky that they hired the right person. I'm gonna give my 100% on this job. I'm gonna over deliver. I'm gonna exceed expectations. I keep telling these things to myself, and not just for work. I do it for everything, and at a point you kind of like build the best version of yourself, because I really believe I can accomplish anything. I truly believe I can accomplish anything I want in life. As long as I really want it, I will pay the price. I don't care what it is. I will pay the price, you know?
Yeah.
So let's just back. This is so good. I knew this conversation was going to go to amazing places. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're new on the podcast, my name is Nelson. Just to let you know, we still don't even have a name for the podcast.
Okay.
So I've been recording these episodes and just trying to lead by example and showing people that you should be doing more than just thinking, like
and
do
also,
more.
Also, you don't need to be ready.
Exactly.
You don't need everything to be organized and perfect and this and that. No, just start. Just start. In fact, the best thing is to just start.
Exactly. So that's why I've been leading by example in here. So we still don't have a name, but at this stage, now the podcast will be out, so you will know what's the name of the podcast. But today, we're very lucky. I know I've said this in the past episodes, but I'm not kidding. All the guests we have had today are high achievers and incredible human beings. We're very lucky to have a conversation with them. So I hope today you're gonna get a lot of value from learning from a high performance coach. She's also a 4-degree karate black belt. So she'll tell us a little bit more about herself in just a second. But her name is Claudine Chicheportiche. Is that how you pronounce it?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. We know that.
Yeah. I'm happy for all accents to pronounce it. So in Australian, it's Chicheportiche. In French, so it's actually French. So it would be Chicheportiche. And then in Spanish, it's a little bit more, as you would say. So, but look, it's such a mouthful. So I'm happy that you even try to pronounce it. So thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So welcome to the show. Can you give us a little brief description of who you are for anyone that just found out about you?
Sure. Well, hello, Nelson's audience. It's so fantastic to be here. My name is Claudine Chicheportiche, and I teach high performance mindset and emotional intelligence. I ended up in this arena, in this space of mindset and performance, because I have really been obsessed with mindset from, I would say, from a pretty early age, always thinking really deeply, always trying to understand, always trying to connect the dots. And I, like everyone, have traveled a diverse path from competitive karate to, over 20 years in a martial arts journey, and just competing and really sort of trying to take myself constantly to another level, constantly trying to understand, like, who am I? Why am I like this? Do I want to be like this? What's a better version of me? What's a better version of me? How can I create her? How can I make those things a reality? And so, with high performance and with high achievement, can unfortunately come a lot of suffering and a lot of letdowns. And I learned that sometimes when we're really high achievers, we can have really helpful mental frameworks to get us to where we want. But I had plenty that were really unhelpful, and I have worked out how to unlock those and sort of really get over those, so that on the other side is like freedom, joy, exhilaration, and you're achieving from this place of freedom versus this place of proving and fear. And so, I just looked at my life and thought, I've spent over 2 decades like really refining and getting really good at how to manage my own mindset and emotional state. And I could see so many people struggling. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a mindset coach and teach people how to stop leaking their mindset and their fulfillment so that they can really honestly just love themselves, show up as the best version of themselves, and to be mentally and emotionally free. And that's where you can hit flow state, do amazing things, and really just find joy in life.
I love it. I love it. And I love your energy as well. And the behind of why you're doing what you're doing, right? Because it always comes back to the purpose, to the why. Why, I think it's so important for people to actually take the time to define what's their why. Why are you here? Why, and ask yourself, what do you want out of life? Because it for me, life was very cyclical, very routine-ish until I took the time to analyze my life, like almost look at it if it was a movie, So when I was 23, just before coming to Australia, I had the loss of a very dear friend of mine. And, it made me question a lot of things about life. And for me, that's the thing, what I've noticed, that for a lot of people, until you have a moment like that, like a defining moment that makes you stop the hamster wheel to kind of, reframe everything and almost study yourself to see where you're going, you might not make any improvements, right? You will still be trapped in the hamster wheel. But it always comes back to me, because back then I defined my why. Why do I want to become a YouTuber? Why do I want to make videos? Why do I want to be athletic? Why do I want to continuously pursue greatness? Why do I want to continue to improve my wisdom, knowledge, and all these things, right? So every time I find roadblocks or obstacles or circumstances are not the way I wanted it to be, I can always default back to my why. I can always stop and be like, okay, remind myself, why am I doing this? Oh, okay. What's the goal? Oh, okay. How am I going to get there? Oh, okay. So this thing that I have in front of me, I need to overcome it. There's no other option. You can always kind of like study yourself in that way. But I would love to know for you, what is success?
Well, success is many different things. I don't think it's really simple to just say, oh, it's just this one thing. I think that success is however the individual wants to define it. And I think that it's really important to stop and set that benchmark for yourself. So we have different seasons for success, depending on where we are in our life. So sometimes success means getting a good grade at school. Sometimes success means winning a competition. And sometimes a success means healing our trauma, or it means having beautiful relationships, or it means like being self-supportive. So I think that I have a pretty broad evaluation of what success is. For me, Personally, I think that to be successful, I'm biased, right? I think that when you have a mindset that supports you, that empowers you, that makes your life a joy, so many people are sort of at their enemies with their own mind, with their own self. And they might tick a lot of boxes. They might achieve a lot of things. They might be financially successful. But are they really successful if inside their own minds they're at a bit of a war? And so for me, I believe that the ultimate success is really to be at peace within your own self, because then you're just rock solid with yourself, in yourself and with yourself. And from that point of view, you really can overcome anything because you have so much trust. You know that you can shine in the face of adversity. You know that you can rise in the face of tragedy. And I just love that as, I think that it's impossible to not feel successful when you're in that place, and the other stuff is kind of like they're arbitrary goals. They come and they go, they come and they go. And if we value, and I did this for years, valuing my success in finite periods of time or finite outcomes. But when we do that, we get the outcome and then the outcome passes. Well, where does my success go? And so I would much prefer for success to be a state of being, a way of life, and really it's just like being on that journey and committing to the journey. That's successful.
Yeah, as cheesy as it sounds, it's all about the journey, isn't it? Because then every time I have achieved a goal, and you see this all the time with professional athletes, they want to be maybe Olympic medalists and or maybe win a world title and all this stuff. And once they do it, they're like, oh, what now? I've been working my entire life for this one moment, and now it just passed, that's it.
Yeah.
So and you find out with every goal that you set yourself to, right? Like every time you've been working, I was working so hard to get my permanent residence here in Australia. It took me over 5 years, So, but once I got there, it was like, okay, the next step, there's always a next mountain to climb. And I think that's what also makes life exciting. Like I will never get to a place where I'm the best I can be. You can always find a better version of yourself, so that, and that's what makes life beautiful, right? Imagine if I tell you, like, look, by the age of 50, you will accomplish everything you ever wanted. Why would you even want to live after that? Because every pleasure of life gets boring if you keep like doing it every time. Everything from food to sex to travel to everything, at some stage, if that's all you're doing, that it will get boring. You need almost like the struggle. You need the story. You need like the pushing through, right? You need the goals, or at least that's how it works for myself. Like that's how I find an exciting life. That's what I'm trying to do. Live an exciting life that will leave something behind for other people, and that it's bigger than myself, right? That's for me personally what it is, an exciting life. But I think this will fit very well with what you do. So what is high performance mindset?
So typically, and sorry, Nelson, I just want to say I thought so many beautiful things when you were just talking then. And I thought to myself, maybe success is like enjoying every stage of being on the mountain. It's not just like, people are so obsessed with like conquering the mountain, but if we can just enjoy the climb, enjoy the ascend, enjoy the peak, enjoy the next mountain, just enjoying it all. Like, that's so successful to me. I just think just the commitment to the journey, and I'm not necessarily into constantly struggling, but growth, the growth. But of course, growth often comes from our difficult times, which is why comfort zone is
pushing your boundaries.
Unhelpful. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what is high performance mindset? Well, I used to think that high performance mindset and being a high performer was about winning. I was completely obsessed with winning. Like, I just had to win. I wanted to be national champion. I wanted to, be an incredible karateka. I wanted to win. I wanted one more title, another title. And I used to think that sort of like this really ambitious mindset was a high achieving mindset. And as I mentioned before, I actually think that this style of mindset is quite flawed because it's got a lot of diminishing returns. And so what I think is more helpful is to have a high performance mindset is much more than a mindset that's just striving for more, but it's a mindset that you actually love. It's a mindset that makes it a joy to just be who you are, and it feels like a joy just to be yourself. So I think that is a really high performing mindset. And I think that a high performing mindset is not just a mindset that's always racing and racing and racing away and trying to solve problems and trying to, that's definitely, a high performing mindset. But I think that the highest performing mindset is also a mindset that can be still. And that we can truly have a sense of peace with. Because if you really look behind what everyone truly wants, is I believe that if you ask, why do I want this goal? Why do I want this? Why? If we follow that 8 times, 10 times, really what we want is to be at peace with ourselves or to be in harmony with. We might not talk like that. That might be a bit too fluffy for some of the listeners, and that's totally fine. But I do think it's about having a sense of like space within yourself. So I think that a high performance mindset is an achieving mindset. It's a mindset that supports you. It's a growth filled mindset, and it's a mindset that you can also be at peace with.
Yeah, right. So it links a lot, correct me if I'm wrong, but self-love, right? Like loving who you are. And because the way I see it, as you were talking, I was just thinking to myself, and I always remind myself this when I get to something like maybe trying to compare, like, oh, this person got there quicker to where I want to get. This person got financial freedom faster than me and all this stuff, right? So easy to compare yourself. But I always go back to, wait a second. I look at them and I'm like, is he athletic? And maybe they're not. And then I'll look at another person. Is he actually smart? He's not. He just got lucky maybe with a crypto thing. And I start looking at all this stuff. I'm like, would I trade places with them? And they're like, no, there's not a single person in the world with whom I will trade places. And as you were speaking as well, it came to mind, my friend Guillaume. He was the last guest, by the way, of the podcast. Yeah. We have a lot of similarities in our stories and the way we behave and the action we take and the goals that we want. And, it links as well with the journey. Like you have to fall in love with who you are and the journey. That's what I found that works for me. Like learning to love myself, learning to love my own journey, and understanding that without this journey, there will be no juxtaposition from getting to the top of the mountain, for example. So one of my biggest goals is getting financial freedom. I want it really bad and I'm doing everything in my power to get it. But if you were to give me $1 million today, let's say, I will be so disappointed on myself because I will be like, I couldn't earn it. It had to be given to me. Like I want to earn it. I want to know that I did everything to get there, to get to the top. I don't want to get in a helicopter. I want to do the road, And I want the road to be excited. I want problems to solve. I want because that's what's gonna make me improve, make me grow, and that's the good story. There's no good story if there's no conflict. We don't like stories that are, like streamlined, like, yeah, she was born a princess and ended up being the queen, kind of thing.
Yeah, but so universe, this is just for you. If you're listening, I would be very happy to receive an easy $1 million, thank you, over and out.
Here's the bank account.
So here's the thing. I think that why not just receive? When things do come easily, let's have the grace to receive them. Because sometimes we have learned to struggle so much that we think that is how everything must be all the time. And when a big win comes our way, let's just take it and understand that you have earned that. I can say from you're such a hard worker. Everything that you've ever done, everything that you've ever been through will have led to the circumstances of that easiness. Do you see?
Yes. And that's the thing. Like, as long as, let's say that $1 million comes, right?
Yes.
In my head, there will be some sort of connection of my hard work to the $1 million.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, instead of you just waiting for life to be perfect, to $1 million to just fall in your lap, like, work on it for it to happen, and then eventually you get to that flow state where life is it's almost playing with you. Like the way it sees, like the universe is like listening to, yeah, that guy has been working so hard, he's been screaming at me like that he wants this thing. Let me start flowing with him, let me present opportunities to him, and then being perspicacious enough to spot them and take them, right? I'm curious to know, like, do you think anyone can become a high achiever?
I think it depends on what their belief system is. So, and this was one of your Post-its on the mirror. It was like, I create my limitations, or I decide my limits. And whether you're aware of that or not, obviously you are, but many of us aren't. And we have self-imposed identity, self-imposed limits, self-imposed belief systems. And so, to come to your question, can anyone have a high performance mindset? The question is, what is their self-identity? Do they want to? Like a lot of people feel that they kind of get an ick when they think about high performance, and they kind of feel like, oh, people like that are jerks, and they can have like this anti sort of like high achieving thing. And that could be because maybe their parents pressured them to be high achievers, and that just created this resistance, and they just want to rebel from that, and they just want to be free, or maybe they want to see themselves as creative, or, there are so many things. And by the way, of course, you can be an uber, have an incredible high performing mindset and be super creative. But I think it really just comes down to people's identity. Like, what do they believe for themselves? One of the things that you just said before is, which I loved, by the way, when you said, I am smart. And so that's someone, if someone has like this view that they can learn and that they can grow, then they can, of course, become a very advanced thinker, have developed robust thinking, developed critical thinking, really ambitious, like very beautifully ambitious. But if I'm over here thinking I'm not good enough, I don't deserve much, if I believe that society says this is how I need to be and that's what I'm like and I'm the type of person that, and I'm, if that's their mental framework, then respectfully, they've kind of put themselves in a position which says, no, I can't be. But in truth, of course they can. If you are conscious, if you are alive, if you are conscious, if you can think, you can improve the quality of your thinking. And all you need is the ambition to say, I'm going to develop my thinking.
Yes.
I'm going to work on how I think about myself. I'm going to consciously develop and shift and change. I'm going to find out my unhelpful thinking patterns. I'm going to replace them with things that are more supportive, more empowering, truer. A lot of the time our unhelpful mental frameworks, they're not even true. Like, I'm a loser if I can't, garbage. You're a winner because of everything that you put into it, all of the effort, all of, So the long and the short answer is, hell yeah, fuck yes. Of course people can become a high performing thinker. They just need to work on their mindset and their thinking and beliefs.
Yeah, and that's, you nailed it. You nailed it with all you just said. And also, that's the biggest investment you can make, right? Just taking the time to take yourself to the next level. I'm curious, from all the people you have worked with, which by this time I'm guessing is thousands, what are the common traits of the high performance people, whether it's an athlete, because I know you have worked with people from many different fields, whether it's an athlete, a successful business person, someone that achieved financial freedom, the people that in a way have made it in their own way, right? What are the common traits?
Well, I think that all too often most people feel that they've never made it in spite of their achievements. So there's this kind of contradictory like drive of like, got to be more, want to be more, I can be more. And then it's kind of like having one foot on the accelerator, and then quite often there's one foot on the brake. And this one foot on the brake is like, I'm really good at my thing, but, maybe I'm not so good at this. And there can be these competing, conflicting mindsets. And I can find this all the way through from people who are perhaps lower level performers in life, or people who would have a lot of self-doubt. And that is still prevalent. So I just want to like maybe you were like, oh, and what's this really cool mindset? I just want to let all of your listeners know that even Olympic athletes are full of fear, have mindsets that can really undermine them. And, you know, at each stage of our wherever we are at in life, we are going to have thoughts that are going to undermine us, that are going to challenge us. This is normal. This is absolutely normal. And then so for those really high level achievers, it's about how can we weed these untrue, unhelpful, disempowering mindsets out. And that is, that's really key to taking the uber achievers to another level. But fundamentally, they have a belief, or working with me, they develop this huge amount of belief that I can, I will, I am. This is something I'm saying all the time. I can do this. I will do this. And then the final step in the mindset is I am. So coming back to your Post-it notes, you know, I almost was like, there's one and it says, I will be X. I will be funny. I like when we can change the I will to I am, there's like an identity shift. So let's say I'm working with an athlete and they want to be like champion. I'm working with an ultra runner at the moment. And, you know, when we first started, he never even saw himself, even as an athlete. It's unbelievable, but he's clocking up like huge miles. He's competed for over a decade. And he just sort of saw it as this like hobby thing, but he never saw himself as an athlete. So we've had to work up the scale of what I call the scale of believability. Oh, like actually the first step for him was realizing I'm a contender. We got him from I'm not an athlete to I'm an athlete to I'm a contender. Now I'm getting him from I'm a contender to I'm the champ. And I'm trying to teach him that it's not this thing over there. It's me. It's me here now. And it's this paradox of I have to embody it before it happens.
Yes.
It's like a black belt. It's like this real Zen koan, and it's really mystical, and all your senseis make you really angry when you kind of want to work out, when am I going to get my black belt? And, you know, you never actually ask because that's seen as very disrespectful in karate etiquette. But you kind of talk to some other karateka, and we all know, like, there's this mystical thing about you'll know when you're a black belt. And you're like, but how will I know? And it's like often it's just this decision. It's like, you know what? That's it. I am a black belt. And it's about knowing that you could turn up to any dojo. You could have a white belt around your waist, but in your heart, in your body, in your soul, you know, I'm a black belt. And people around you will know it as well, because it's just this embodiment of your mind, body, spirit. Everything about you says, I'm black belt.
Yes.
So the real champs, the real high performers, it's like this knowingness, this ultimate knowingness. Like Nelson, it's almost like, not that we can relax, but we can sort of let go. It's like, of course you're going to be financially free. Of course you're going to do all of those things, because it's just this intrinsic, I am those things, and I'm just on my path to go and collect my destiny.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. Yes, and a destiny that has been forged by yourself, right? That nobody did it for you, like you created it.
Because you're the creator.
Yes,
you're the creator,
yes.
And that's what I loved about the creating opportunities.
Yes.
It's like, well, of course, you created it.
Yes,
you know, I do think that there is two hands on the pen. I think that writing the story of your life is you. And then I think that there's also something bigger than you.
Yes.
A force that, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Things that you can't control, yeah.
You know, I mean, in this infinite realm, in infinity, it is so obnoxious to think that we are in complete control.
Yes.
Like, come on, guys.
Yes.
We live
We're
in
so
a floating blue planet
Yes.
in the middle of infinity. Oh, I've got everything under control.
Yeah.
It's like, what? We've got nothing under control. Are you kidding? But at the same time, for our tiny little microcosm, we do. We can control this tiny little dust of nothing.
Yes, I completely agree. And you know what? I think it's hard to think of those. Have you ever done mushrooms by any chance?
Only kind of like the portobello kind of style. So not hallucinogenic, no.
Yeah, because like for me, it became very clear when I did that. Like what I had a mushroom trip, and while I was there, it was almost like I was physically fully detached from myself, and I could see myself what I was doing. I was trying to explain this to a friend, like, you know, I could clearly see myself as it was a movie or a third person, you know, just seeing myself working in my computer super hard, like every day, and seeing like my daily routine play out and all this stuff. And then I'll kind of just it was just this clear understanding, like, man, I'm so tiny. I'm dust, you know, because then it was almost like zooming out and seeing, you know, first Australia, you know, like how big it is, and then zooming out and looking all the world, all the way across to Venezuela, you know, and seeing like, damn, I'm really small. And then zooming even more and looking at the planets, how tiny it was in the solar system, you know, and then like, shit, we're just dust, you know, and we think of like these tiny things that we make things so much complex than what they are, right? So yeah, like once you have that understanding, you're like, man, you know, and it does, because then that begs the question: are you even important if you're that small, right? But then it's understanding that everything you do affects everything around you, every single decision. You know, like you coming today to do this podcast is making my life somehow different. Same with the conversation that we're having right now. It's gonna, in some way or form, impact your day, and in consequence, it will change the turn of events for your life, right? So everything you do matters. That's why I think it's so important to find, like, do something that you're very passionate about it, because in that way you're really affecting the world in a positive way.
I often I love this statement, like, about what is important. Like when we zoom right back out, and then it's like, oh God, I'm not important at all. And I think this is such a healthy perspective to just really like put things in such perspective. We get so caught up, oh, like this guy cut me off, big deal, get over it, like we're a piece of dust, move on, like it doesn't matter at all. But it's this ultimate paradox, it's this incredible paradox where like nothing is important and everything is important. And I think that both of those two statements are completely true.
Yes, I love that, the juxtaposition of both of them, because you need both, right? Like that understanding, like, yeah, the person that cut me on traffic, this is really not that important. Like it doesn't matter. Zero.
But at the same time, as you say, everything has this, you know, it's almost like this infinite knock-on effect. It's infinitely dynamic, you know, and my life will be changed just from reading those notes and from having this conversation. And then one of your listeners who hears this, their life is going to change because of one concept that they'll have picked up, and so on. So I think that sometimes when I find myself getting too serious, I just remember, you're going to die. It's okay. You're going to be dead. No one cares. No one matters. Like, it's fine. And then other times I think, hey, wake up. You're going to die. This matters. Pay attention. Be alive. Really be alive now.
Yes. I love it. And you got to almost have those two cards at hand, right? Because depending, context matters. You know, like what's happening? What do you have in front of you? Should you pull the card of, you know what, I'm gonna die anyways. So let me just enjoy this moment and fully suck it in. But sometimes you will need the other card. You will need like, hey, life is going quick. I'm gonna die. I need to, you know, pursue this thing that I love so much and make things happen, because regardless, I'm gonna die, you know. So it's almost like having those two and play at hand depending on what's the context of what's happening. So this show, I envision that is a lot for entrepreneurs and especially creative entrepreneurs. So how do we unlock creativity? How do we get to that flow state that we all love so much, and sometimes we come across it, but I find that a lot of people don't know how to, they don't have systems in place to how to get there. So how can we do that?
Okay. So look, I certainly don't profess to be a creativity expert, but I have spent years trying to work out how can I create flow state on tap. And I think that depending on everyone's medium and everyone's style, it's going to be unique to them. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really important, first of all, to explore like what your style of flow state is and what type of creativity are you looking for. So, for example, are you a surfer? Are you looking for creative flow in your surfing? Or are you an athlete? Let's say you're a martial artist. How do you have flow state when you're sparring and when you're fighting? Or if you are a musician, how do you achieve that level flow state? And the way that we achieve each of those is going to be unique depending on your specific methodology. But ultimately, behind all of those various methodologies, one thing will occur, and that's the transcendence of thinking. Mm-hmm. So it's about going beyond this thinking, logical, rational mind. Mm-hmm. We have to go beyond that into a space, and that's where we are fully creative, fully free, fully expressive. That is our infinite potential. Mm-hmm. And so if we're sitting there criticizing, judging, analyzing, we can't hit flow state because we're in logical, like that's logical Claudine brain, right? Mm-hmm. And she's really helpful for creating solutions. She's unhelpful. It creates diminishing returns when I want to be free. Mm-hmm. So learning how to go beyond your everyday thinking into this expansive, and this is why I say that the 6 high performance mindset is a still mind. What I really mean by that is that that is an infinite mind. And when we're in that infinite space, we can really create anything. We can be anything, flow anyway, and that's real freedom.
What are practical steps that someone can take to get there?
So the first thing that we need, it's like, are you aware of the kind of like the 4 stages of performance and thinking? So like awareness. So we've got when I'm unskilled, I have unconscious incompetence. So I'm incompetent. So let's say I'm incompetent at a thing and I'm even unconscious of how bad I am. And then let's say I start practicing and learning my craft. And then I go to the next stage, which is, oh, I'm aware that I suck, right? So I'm consciously incompetent. So I've moved from unconscious incompetence. Then I've moved to conscious incompetence. That's where we need to practice our craft. So you cannot achieve flow state or ultimate creativity or ultimate execution without being a brilliant technician. Understand the basics, practice the basics, do the drills, do the finger work on your guitar, do the pop-ups when you're surfing, like all of those things. Master your craft. That is essential. Practice, 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 and practice with awareness. Mm-hmm. Then the next stage that we move to is that we kind of can be conscious and competent. So we're from shifting in that phase, that's where we kind of start doing things automatically. We have done the second part so well that we're practicing the basics and doing that flow so well that we can do it consciously. And if you're in that phase, then you've only got one more to go. So then we can just sort of let our minds go and let freedom and autonomy take over. So that's a bit of an abstract answer. So let me put it maybe into some more concrete
something
terms.
Digestible.
Really, really tangible. Number 1, practice the basics. Master your foundations and practice those basics. Number 2, learn how to not let your mind go. Mm-hmm. Don't let it just run all over the place, but rein it back in. So when it starts thinking, analyzing, just say, oh, hey, Claudine, we're not analyzing now. We're just doing, we're just being. And having that conversation to practically bring your mind back means that you're going to be able to silence that mind. Mm-hmm. And then when you're in that silent space, that's when you can execute. So really, it's 2 things. Number 1, be so good at your craft technically. And then 2, don't let your mind run all over the place. When you can practice silencing the mind in that gap, in that space, that's pure creativity, pure freedom, infinite mindset. So what are some things that help us to practice reining our mind in if we're going to go meta?
Yes.
Okay. So literally putting conscious awareness and saying, like, let's say I start worrying about a thing. I can, conscious awareness. So before, when you were telling a story about like when you were 23 and you were on the hamster wheel, I would call that autopilot thinking. It's like we all are just on autopilot. And then something happens and we wake up. We say, oh, hey, like, what are you doing? How are you behaving? Right. We don't always need something big to happen. We can just choose. We can just say, I'm tuning in. I'm tuning into how I think, and I'm going to rein my thoughts in. And that's what you're doing 24/7 instead of letting your mind run off. So you're doing it now, you know, every day in the way that you live. And all of your listeners can do exactly what you are doing. Don't let your mind run away. You just pull it back in and you say, I'm not going to think that. Hey, gently. Let's think this. Let's think these thoughts instead. So we rein our mind in and then we think those thoughts. And then ultimately, it's about creating space where you practice not needing to analyze. And you can just say, hey, just while I do this thing, I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to analyze. I'm not going to criticize. I'm just going to be. And practicing being versus constantly thinking, that creates a still mind, which facilitates that infinite mind.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I love it. And there's so many things that I have picked on along the way that sometimes I feel like when you explain to people how much difference it makes, they underestimate it. You know, even like little things like the sticky notes, you know, like that you just saw on the bathroom. They're game changing. You know, they have been massive for me because you have this self-talk all day, but when you also see it physically in the physical world, it's like, yes, that's what I've been thinking all day. This is what I've been reminding myself all day, but that's self-talk as well, you know, like because it's easy to go always to the negative side of things, you know, like, oh, what if I don't get the job? What if I don't become financially free? What if I fail or I lose this tournament or whatever, you know? And why don't you just switch it for the opposite? What if you win? What if I win? What if I become financially free? You know, how will that look like? How will that feel like? You know, sometimes I when I find that I'm having maybe a difficult time, or, you know, like I'm maybe not feeling as creative, or my motivation is just not there, whatever it is, I literally sometimes just close my eyes and I start thinking about the things that I know will happen, you know, like you said, like the things that I am, because in a different dimension, right now I'm financially free, you know, right, you know, yeah, you know, like I'm the smartest I can possibly be. I'm the fittest I can possibly, like, these are just things that are, to me, are inevitable. That's such a hard word for me to pronounce.
Now, yeah.
So to me, it's like, there's no other outcome to it because I'm putting the work and I just want it so bad that there's no way it's not going to happen. How long is it going to take? I don't know. And I'm prepared for the long term, you know, like I don't, if it happens tomorrow, great. I knew it was going to happen. If it takes another 20 years, 30 years, what? All good. I'm here for the ride, you know, I'm here for the journey. Like, because once I get there will be another mountain. There will be something else to climb. Like, I don't think you can ever get to the perfect place, you know, like
this is the perfect place.
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
This is all we've got.
Yes.
That nothing else even exists.
Yes.
Like what happened a minute ago is gone into eternity.
Gone.
It's gone. You know, it's like yesterday feels realer than 1,000 years ago, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It's just as gone.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, if we're going to have a perfect moment, let's just choose it's this, you know?
That is now.
But the great thing is that it's only ever now. That's all it can ever be. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, it's coming back to that thing around like, oh, what if success were just enjoying every part of the mountain? Mm-hmm. You know, the rocky part, the hilly part, the slippery as shit part, you know, the really difficult stuff. I really love, Nelson, what you just said. This is so key about people dismissing things as unimportant. Mm-hmm. No, this is a huge mistake. So people think that these small things, like I might ask a client to do a visualization, and for some reason people can have very strong resistance to doing these things that they might think are fluffy or they might not deem as tangible. So when we're training, let's say I'm an athlete, I focus predominantly on the doing. Mm-hmm. And these athletes will say, oh, mindset is everything. Mindset's so important. And then so respectfully, how much time are you working on your mindset? Mm-hmm. So in one breath, we can say mindset is everything and people really believe it. But then if I were to say, oh, perfect, what's your mindset training? What's your actual schedule for that? Most people have zero schedule. And so just practicing imagining, like we don't need to be fluffy. Just sit down and just imagine yourself in that position. Imagine yourself. And you're going to come up with so much resistance. Mm-hmm. And all that resistance is you saying, I don't deserve this identity. Mm-hmm. If we can practice being at harmony, if we talk about something really practical, if your listeners only do one thing, let it be this. Practice imagining amazing things happening in your life. Mm-hmm. Practice as many times as you can, because it creates a sense of belief inside of ourselves. And if we can do that, like, you know, you've probably heard of the adage, you know, most people say, I'll believe it when I see it. It's like, no. You'll when you can see it internally, that's when you'll believe it. When you can feel it, it's about feeling it, you know, practice feeling it, having those feelings. Yeah. And we can overcome all of those inner sort of barriers and obstacles when we can practice internally, it just imagining. That's why Einstein said, imagination is everything. You know, but most people are unwilling to practice just imagining. They say, oh, that's so fluffy. Is it? Is it really fluffy? Because what's really going on is that resistance, it's kind of like saying, oh, coach, I'm not going to go and do those chin-ups because, like, why? You know, if everyone's saying, you know, these are the drills to do, and we've heard athlete after athlete, we've heard visionary after visionary say that visualizing and believing, you know, practicing believing, it's so key. So let's practice it. In fact, do you know what I'm going to do when I leave here? I'm going to go home. I'm going to go and put my own Post-it notes back up around the house.
Yes.
And I'm going to make a commitment, and I respectfully challenge all of your listeners to do this as well. Let's just spend 5 minutes a day.
Yes.
Even just 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes. Give 1 minute. Give your dreams 1 minute of just practicing, believing in them, seeing them happen. Believing in them and seeing them happen, and let us know what happens.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I really would love for people to take that challenge, because it has made such a big difference in my life that honestly, it's almost like a hack, like a secret hack to get whatever you want, you know, prioritizing belief, you know, in my head. We love that saying, right? I'll believe it when I see it, but it's almost actually the opposite of that. You need to believe it first before you can see it, you know, like you need to believe that you can become anything you want. You need to believe that you can become that thing that you always wanted to. But you actually need to believe it. That someone told me recently, we were driving, and she says, like, you know, when I listen to you, you tell all these big things, all these dreams, all this stuff that you have, all this stuff that you will accomplish, and it's strange, but I believe you. You know, like, I know you will. But when I do it for myself, for my business, they're young entrepreneurs. So when I'm trying to do it for me, I don't believe I can do it. I don't think it will be successful. And that's the difference. You know, I genuinely believe everything I say. You know, when I say I'm going to be financially free, I fully embrace that. I fully embody that. Like, I completely know that's going to happen. Yeah. When I say I'm going to deliver you the best video possible, I know that's a fact. You know, when I say I'm going to do this, same thing. When I say I'm going to fight, same thing. You know, like it. So I think you should spend that time to work on your mindset and yourself and your dreams. And just like you said, dedicate that time to visualize and fully feel it, right? To bring it into reality.
Yes. So to your friend, you know, this young entrepreneur, then if it's a young woman, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So if she's struggling with her believability, and if any of your listeners are struggling with your believability, then all this means we don't need to panic around this, and we don't need to take it as a sign that we can't do it. What it means is we just need to focus on practicing believing. And this ties into like the imagination stuff. And so when we exercise our imagination, it's building my believability. And so how do we get to that point? So coming back to I can, I will, I am. And the goal is to get to the point where I am, I am, this has happened. It's just, I'm, on that path, and it's only a question of time. And how do we get there? We get there by working on our belief, by nurturing the possibility of it all. And so by focusing, so to your friend, if she were to focus on, instead of saying, oh, like, it's like she just expects the belief to be there. No, belief is never just there. We've got to work on building that muscle. So the way that we do that is by saying, how can I believe in myself? What else can I do? What else can I do to convince myself that this is going to be my reality? If we just give out at the beginning and say, oh, my belief is low, therefore I'm stuck, well, we can't change. We won't become that thing. So we have to do the thing that's hard. And what's hard is to practice imagining. When I was in 2003, and I was like this rookie brown belt, I was like the lowest ranking brown belt. And I was 6 weeks out from the Australasian Championships. And I said to myself, what's my goal for this? What's my goal for these titles? And I said, well, in point fighting, I want to come third. And then I said to myself, like, why do you just want to come third? Like, what's with third? Like, that's a weird goal, like why? And the truth was, that was as far as I could get my believability. Okay. And so the truth was, technically, I was the lowest ranking brown belt. There were going to be all these other black belts with tons more. I hadn't even competed in an open national title before, right? This was going to be my first one. And so it was pretty unrealistic to say, I'm going to win it. And then I said to myself, what if you just made a decision to win it anyway? Like, do you dare to just want to win it anyway, even though you're not the best, even though you're far from the best, that you're not the best karateka, you're not the best competitor, like you're not very experienced? What if you just had the audacity to just say, I'm going to win it anyway? And that was what I did. I said, look, that's a journey worth taking. I'm going to commit to this. And so I still kept going to training and doing all of the things, but I was already doing that. What I needed to change was my belief system about what I could achieve. So morning and night, I would practice believing in myself. I made myself say these words out aloud. I am, and I put it all into I am. I am the Australasian champion, female black belt, blah, blah, blah. And I would repeat that phrase over. Now, when I first started saying it, oh my God, it was embarrassing. The words were not coming out of my mouth. Like it was, if you had said to me, what is your level of belief? It was like 0. Yeah. And I said, yeah, you suck at this, but keep going, do it again, say it again, believe it again, try again. And then it felt more natural saying it. And then, I'd do it first thing in the morning. I'd visualize myself seeing what I wanted to happen. And then I'd get up and go about my day. First thing in the morning, last thing at night. I did that every single day for 6 weeks. I did a bunch of other techniques as well. But when it came to the night before the tournament, my believability was solid. Bulletproof.
Yes, solid.
It was just locked in. One of the competitors' mums was going around with a video camera and asking people, how do you think you're going to go tomorrow? And I had been like really quiet. I hadn't been telling anyone like this was what I was going to do. And I just kept it all really quiet. And she and I were just having this super quiet conversation on the side. And she said, how do you think you're going to go tomorrow? And I said, everyone else is fighting for second place tomorrow. This title's mine. Yes. And I just knew it. It was just this quiet knowing. Now, 6 weeks beforehand, I'd gone from 0 believability to this is done.
Yeah, it's a done deal.
It's a done deal. And that is truly just how simple practicing believing in yourself is. But it wasn't easy. You know, I felt clumsy. I felt awkward. I felt like full of shit, you know, and I was like, hey, I've got to get over these inner barriers that I've got, and no one's going to get over them for me. I've got to do the work. I've got to show up to practicing believing. So, you know, for any of your listeners who really want to do something special, practice believing in yourself. Just practice. And with hard work, like anything, you're going to get there.
And I want to add one more tip. I'm going to give away one of my secrets of
yes,
how
Nelson.
I have manifested a bunch of different things in my life. It's bulletproof. It works every single time.
Okay,
and
I'm interested.
You have to be very consistent with it. But it works. It will get you whatever you want in life. You ready for this one?
100%.
Do not break the promises you make to yourself.
Yes.
I will repeat that. Listen to it and internalize
yes.
it. Do not break the promises you make to yourself. So when I say, I will finish the video of my client tonight.
Yes.
There's no other option. That video needs to be done tonight. When I say, I will wake up tomorrow at 5 a.m., it's done. It has to happen. There's no other way around it. I will wake up tomorrow at 5 a.m.
Yes.
When I say I'm going to the gym this afternoon, there's no other possible outcome other than going to the gym this afternoon. Keep every promise you make to yourself and start with small ones. Because people start too big and then they break the promise, and guess what? That hurts your belief. That hurts your reputation. What we're doing here is creating a reputation with ourselves. I have worked so long on these promises that now I have a reputation with myself that I'm a man that says what he does and does what he says. You know, that whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm just going to do it.
Yes.
That's the reputation I have with myself. And in consequence, everyone around me knows me as someone that gets whatever he wants. They all believe me because they have seen it, because I'm consistent. I also tell it. I say it out loud when they, especially when there are things that I don't want to do. There's a bunch of those promises that I don't want to do, but I just do them because I know it will build my belief even more that I will get whatever I want in life.
And I just, you know, I think it builds trust.
Yes.
You know, the trust that you have. So you talk about the reputation with yourself. It's like you just must have so much inner trust. Like you're so damn reliable. And it's so awesome because every time we break any little promise to ourselves, where we do this unconsciously, we're just eroding our trust with ourselves. And it's absolutely critical to really trust yourself. You've got to know your high performance mindset is know yourself inside out. The only person you can ever really know inside out is you. So what a gift. So really knowing yourself and then trusting yourself, knowing the unwavering reliability that you have of being a man of his word, period. You know, that is so impressive. And starting really, really small and building your way up. Like I'm tricking, I see it as tricking myself a little bit. And I'm pretty good at tricking myself to get myself to do things. So I have been...
Same. I'm an expert at tricking myself into doing things that I don't want to do. I'm a master at that.
Awesome.
You know, and you have to, you need to, because guess what? Most things are not really things that you want to do, but they need to be done. That's how life is. You know, like there are a bunch of things that I don't want to do. That yes, I've learned to love training, but sometimes I don't want to go. You know, sometimes I don't want to train. Sometimes I don't want to either lift. Sometimes I don't want to go and get punched in the face. Sometimes, you know, like, but I know they need to be done. I need to continue to keep my promises and build this reputation with myself.
Rule number 1, show up.
Yes.
Rule number, like we cannot build anything or create anything. And if you can just perfect the art of showing, like you're just showing up. Show up to your goals. Show up to your dreams. Show up for yourself. Just showing up makes you a fucking champion.
Yes.
You know, it just builds so much inner strength. So just showing up. And like lately, I've been sitting so much for, you know, I've been so focused on building my business and growing my business. And, you know, it means that all of my athleticism has sort of really, it's been dropping and dropping and dropping, you know. And I've been cool with that because I know that, you know, I spent over 20 years training my face off, you know, like spending a ridiculous amount of time training, committed. You know, all of my work was always catered to fitting in training, doing in training. Like just my whole life's revolved around training in a way. And I said to myself, like, yeah, that's cool. Like now you've got to invest the time building your business and helping other people. So, but then I've realized I'm not so happy with this identity that I'm creating for myself, like this sort of has-been athlete. And it's like, no. My identity is going to be an athlete and continue. So I was like, hey lady, pick up your step count. You know, let's start just by walking. And I was radically inspired, you know, by the guy, that incredible 23-year-old who ran from Perth to Bondi. He did like nearly 4,000 kilometers. I saw him do that and I was like, okay, all right, that's it. I'm just going to start with walking and I'm going to do 10Ks a day and I can break it up any way that I want. I was like, you can walk. You're just going to get the step count up. By day 4, I was like, okay, what if I were to just do a 10-minute walk, 2-minute run? And then I've slowly crept in like this jogging and building that back up. And, you know, all of a sudden now it's 2 weeks down the track, you know, and I've pumped out, you know, 150 Ks. I went from like a step count of like 2,000 steps a day to 150 Ks, you know, and I did it just by saying, I'm going to do this thing. And just like you, this unwavering, there were times where I was like, oh my God, I've left these 8Ks till like 7 o'clock at night and I'm getting up at 4 in the morning. It's like, bitch, I don't care. Put your shoes on and get out the door.
Exactly, man. Like, and sometimes you gotta be ruthless with yourself. You know, to me, when my mind's, because it's always there, that little voice, that lazy bastard that just wants you to be a couch potato.
Just
chill. Don't worry. You know, like just enjoy the moment. Whatever. It's like, dude. No, we're getting up to work. We're making shit happen. Nothing's gonna happen. You know, you gotta have some sense of urgency with the things that you want. You know, it's not like almost driving yourself to that point of stress and that almost nothing gets done because you're too overthinking things and stuff like that. But you need to have a sense of urgency with things, you know, because life is not stopping. Life is going second by second, you know.
It's happening.
It's fleeting.
It's happening. And we gotta, you know, be in it. And if we wonder how we end up kind of soft and scared. We end up soft and scared because we let ourselves off the hook over here. We let ourselves off the hook over there. We say, I don't need to do that. And we keep on choosing the easy option, the soft option. Now, I'm not saying everything needs to be like brutal and hard and a struggle, but if you want to be a strong person, do strong things, you know, take up challenges, like, and just make the decision that you're going to show up to do that thing, you know. So I love that. Nelson, I'm so inspired, you know, from this conversation. I can't wait. I'm like, I'm going to go and set some more goals and do some things, you know. It's like, but now's the time to act. You know, when we are feeling inspired, that's usually when I make a decision. The momentum. I make a decision in that moment and then I kind of tell other people to make me commit. Or I drop it in my Instagram story and I tell my followers, like,
hold yourself accountable.
I'm going to do this,
you know,
and I'm going to check in with you guys. So, you know, it helps with the accountability and just to keep showing up. Hold yourself accountable. Make it. That's why also you can't. What I've found as well is like, for example, the Conor McGregors, the really high achievers. They told everyone what they wanted. You know, 'cause some people said like, oh, just keep it to yourself and stuff. I have found that it's the opposite. You have to I tell everyone, all my neighbors in here, they all know I want to be financially free.
They all ask me all the time. So how's work working? How's things?
Yeah.
Everything is happening, mate. I'm still on the pursuit. They hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Because I already told them
Yes.
I'm gonna be financially free. So they're like, how are things going? You know, like some of them are like over 70s. You know, and they're like,
but you're getting recruits.
Yes.
You're kind of building their. It's all about building the belief, and they believe in you.
Yes.
You know, they know it's going to happen, and
they all know.
They're wanting it to
happen.
They
all know. Yes, they're rooting for you. You know, like it's so that great. Like this little tribe of people that this environment I've crafted. This is the other thing. You need to craft your environment to win, to be a champion. That won't happen by accident. You need a plan. You need to surround yourself with the right people. You need to instill their beliefs. You need to have a mindset of steel. You need to work on your body and your athleticism. You need to feed it well, and you need everything that is around you need to set you up in a position to win. Guess the name of this plant. This plant is guess the name.
I don't know. Financial freedom?
Victor. For victory.
Of course.
Because we do not accept anything other than victory. That's how crazy I am about these things. It's the sticky notes.
Yeah.
It's Victor on the corner.
Yeah.
You know, it's the little things. What's going to make a difference, you know?
I always, I love this level of crazy. So in my building, sometimes if I park in a certain spot, so there's actually a number 88, and I always try and park in that spot because it's Stephanie Gilmore's number. And I'm just like, yeah, man, I'm just vibing with Steph, you know, like 8 times world champ. And it's just like, worked for her, works for me. Like, you can just make up anything.
Yeah.
We can just make up anything and invest in it and believe it, you know, and just share that vision. And you know what? That plan is healthy and awesome. And I bet it's willing the manifestation for all of the things that you want as well. I bet that plant's so happy.
Man, I love it. And I love like these little patterns that I have.
Yeah.
I honestly love Victor. It's one of the best things we have gotten for this off. Look, it seems like I could talk with you all day long, nonstop. This is awesome. I've loved it. And for closing, I want to get to the losers, because we've been talking a lot about winners, about people that they want to get to the next level and stuff. Let's talk about the losers, the Johnnies in the corner that are not doing anything. They're just in complete depression. They don't think life can get any better. Sally from the other building as well, she doesn't think life can get any easier or better, or it's not exciting. How do you transform yourself from a loser into something?
So this is a very interesting question. And for me personally, I actually don't like the word loser. I personally don't use the word loser because there's a pretty good chance that Sally comes from a traumatized family, or just from an extremely difficult background, or, you know, Johnny, you know, whatever. Like, I don't think that people are losers. I think that people are lost. I think that people are scared. And I would rather support them to come out of that place versus sort of criticize. That's just my take on things. And so I do feel that the word loser is very derogatory. Don't get me wrong. We can feel like losing, and we can certainly lose things. So I'm not afraid of it as a verb, but as a term of describing someone. But how can they get out of that place? They have to realize that they are the lock and that they have the key. So no one's holding them there. No matter what, we haven't always had the easiest life. We don't start at this level playing field. Some of us grow up in extremely difficult families under extremely difficult circumstances. And no matter what cards we have been dealt, none of us chose that, but we were born into that environment. And it's not fair, because life isn't fair. And if we were born in an environment where things were unfair, we need to work out how we're going to get out of it, and we need to make a decision. And we can't hope that someone's going to do it for us, but the power is actually inside of you. So Sally needs to decide, am I going to be a victim my whole life, or am I going to turn this around? It's about making that decision that there is more inside of me. And in fact, I'm a human being. I have infinite potential. Right now, I feel hopeless. I feel, but you know what? There's another side of this. For everyone who might be really, really challenged, you know what? I think that if they're still listening, they're very hopeful. They have belief, because if they're still listening, they know like they're doing something great for themselves now just by listening to this conversation. So anyone who's listening to this conversation, I know, is doing something with themselves. They're doing something with their life. And that as long as you're alive, you have power inside of yourself to create a different outcome. We can choose different. So losing is a state of mind. Don't choose it.
Yes, I love that. I love that, because that's exactly the way I see it. I think losing, just like it's a poor mindset. It's the same thing, So and it's up to you to change it to abundance, to change it to unlimited potential, to change it to I'm a champion. Like, it's literally up to you. Like, because the sad reality is that nobody's going to save you. The minute you understand that you're not, you can't be expecting for someone to show up and make your life goes super well. And
I just think, Nelson, some of my clients are so lucky, because I actually am that person for some of my clients. Some of my clients are really,
but that's different, because that's a mentor that you're seeking for it, right? Like you're looking for someone. And I think having mentors is imperative as well, whether it's a mentor online, whether it's a physical person, whether it's a certain family member or whatever. But it's just knowing as well who's that person, and what's the intentions. That's why I think it's even better if you can pay someone, because the intentions will be to actually help you, right? They won't have anything other than that wanting the best for you.
Yeah, but sometimes we can just get stuck, right? We can just get really stuck. And again, I don't think that person is a loser. I just think that person is accidentally caught in a pattern that they don't know how to get out of, but they can get out of it. They can get out of it. There is always a way. There's always another side. There's always light. And we have to choose to look for the light. In the darkest times, we have to say, hey, man, I know there's light. Let's turn it on. Let's find it. I might not have it, but I'm going to look for it. And if we can look for it, it's always there. It's always there. And even in the dark, we can learn how to turn on the light, and we have to learn how to turn on the light for ourselves.
Yeah. And just like it always can get worse, there's always a new level of worse. When you think it can't get any worse than what you are right now, the opposite is true.
Yes.
There's always better. There's always something can get better, so you need to pay attention to the little things, because you get caught up in like, I'm not getting the amount of money I want. I'm not getting the right relationships. Start small. Start doing little small changes that will lead you to all the outcomes that you want, and that will make your life more fulfilling.
Yeah. Yes.
Claudine, thank you so much for making the time to come in today. We will have to do this again, because this is awesome. And after we hear some feedback and we see what people are saying and what kind of questions they could have or anything, I think we should give this a round two.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Well, selfishly, I would absolutely love that. That would be fantastic. But yeah, if any of your listeners have any questions around mindset, around winning, around building and creating a high performance mindset, send them in. And can also just invite everyone to, if they're on Instagram, they can find me at Claudine.mindsetcoach. Please come say hi. I would absolutely, I know if you're listening to Nelson, then you're an awesome human, and I would love to get to know you. So come give me a follow there. And of course they can, I've actually got a totally free mindset and awareness coaching email that I send out. It's free every single week.
Oh, yes.
So they can head to my website. It's www.Claudine, that's CLAUDINE, and then CHI, so ClaudineChi.com. And they can just jump on there. I'm also going to be doing a mindset cleanse if anyone wants to know how to get, and I'll be guiding those actually with everyone. So usually I don't work too much in groups, but I thought, no, let's really create some leverage. So if anyone is up for a mindset cleanse, then head over to my website, find out when my next cleanse is on. I'm going to be releasing it very, very soon and running those with some seasons. So that's exciting. And yeah, drop the questions in because we'd love to answer them. And Nelson, thank you so much. You're so insightful. You're so passionate. You're so hardworking. It's honestly just such a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you for making the time today. I'm pretty sure this conversation will help someone else to take the right steps to become a better version of themselves. And thank you for what you're doing as well. We need more people that are doing what they're passionate about. That's what's making a greater impact in the world. So thank you for making the world a little bit better than what it is.
Thanks so much, Nelson.
Goodbye, people. We'll see you on the next episode. Good vibes for everyone.
Ciao, everyone.
How was that?
That was epic. So great.
I told you. I told you it was going to be great.
So great.
Yeah.